This is Logan Ketter. You're listening to Seriously Loco Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 2 of Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy fan podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC. I'm your host, Phil Bakke. We're brought to you, as always, by Roughneck Scarves, and we are proud members of the Beautiful Game Network. I'm joined today. It's a familiar cast, I think. First off, we got Christian Canales joining us. Christian, welcome back. It's Season 2.
Season 2, here we go. It's been a little bit of a break, but hopefully we're not too rusty.
You have a decent like layoff. You feel like rested, energized.
Yeah, I think so. I'm ready. I'm excited to be back, ready for the season to start, as I'm sure we all are.
And we're also joined. It's Mikka Burrell. Mikka, welcome back. Season 2.
We're here. 2. What the hell? I remember when we were still called El Paso USL.
Yeah.
And now it's Season 2 of our podcast and of the club. That's amazing. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's a little crazy that we're back, not just in a kind of formal sense of the team exists, but we have some players. We have a podcast media platform. We got some stuff that happened over the off season, but for you guys personally, and Mikka, we can start with you. But how's the off season been for you? I mean, feels a little long, if I'm being honest.
It does, but at the same time, I've been obviously filling my time with European football.
Yeah,
that's the one nice thing about how our schedules, alternate. But it's been a long season, man. I mean, there's just been so much radio silence as far as Locomotive is concerned from us, and also from like other sources and Twitter. You can just tell everyone's ready for the the ball to be kicked again and to get going.
Yeah, it is. We're in a situation right now where like even the smallest thing will send our followers like off.
Yeah.
Where I kept Edson Partida on the spreadsheet on accident, and it started a couple of conspiracy theories about whether Josue Aron Gomez was rejoining or whether Edson was rejoining. So I mean, Christian, this offseason, it's been a little tough in terms of trying to keep everybody engaged, but also disconnect for a little bit and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for all of us, it's our first off season with this particular club. So I think, in November, none of us really had any idea what to expect, and we still don't. I feel like between now and March, 8 weeks or however long it is, there's...
Sure.
I think we're in, like, the home stretch, and I still feel like there's plenty of news to be made. And so now that we're in this condensed time frame, everything's going to start coming a mile a minute, and that's good because I feel like March will be here before we know it.
Yeah, there's been a lot over this off season, but I mean, for you guys, from a non-Locomotive perspective, I know Christian, you've been kind of filling your time with the UTEP basketball program. Good start to the season, but the wheels have kind of come off a little bit.
I mean, it's UTEP basketball. They're either terrible or promising and disappointing is kind of what it's been in the history of the team. Except I feel like before they've kind of been at a spot where they were like one step away from being at the top. This is back in, 09, sure. 08 time frame. And now they have the talent to be that and more, and they're just not even close. So it's a different season.
Last time we talked about basketball on this podcast, we got roasted.
We got yelled at, yeah. I'm good with that. So we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back to soccer. I mean, Mikka, you talked about the obviously, anytime soccer fans are going to fill one soccer off season with more soccer. So, I mean, in this case, obviously you're watching Arsenal, but this has been a pretty interesting period in European soccer, just in terms of, obviously we kind of went into the winter break of German football,
Right.
but there's been tons of English football to talk about, and a coaching change for your beloved Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal got the Mark Lowry of England, the young, good-looking dude that likes possession football. So I fuck with it fully. No, yeah, results are picking up for Arsenal. The play style and the organization is miles ahead of whatever the hell Unai Emery was trying to do.
Right.
So yeah, I'm happy with the team. I mean, we're gonna be comfortably mid-table, but that's fine. There's a progress, I think, in terms of what's going on with the coaching staff and all of that. So
Yeah, and I did a little traveling.
yes,
Yeah.
now that's the
Quite
most
the
interesting
trip.
thing. Let's be honest. Tell us about
Burying the lead there,
Liverpool.
Phil.
Yeah, I'll be brief, but yeah, as most of you who are listening to this will know, but I am a Liverpool fan, and I got the distinct privilege of attending a match in person at Anfield. I saw the match against Wolves, so unique.
That
in
was
the
a cagey match.
cagey match, and it was VAR heavily involved. For those who are curious about the involvement of VAR and the impact on a crowd, and that's been one of the criticisms of VAR is kind of the impact on the in-person experience. It was definitely interesting, but in the end, Liverpool getting the result that they needed, and then I was able to go to a match at Craven Cottage as well in London. So Fulham versus Reading, and I gotta say, and this is not any hate to anybody out there who likes Fulham or has watched Fulham in the past, because there is a kind of a deep American connection between Brian McBride and Clint Dempsey playing at Fulham, and very high profile, but atmosphere not that great, I'm gonna say.
Do you think it's because they're in the championship after flopping so hard out of the Premier League?
I think it's partially that. I think it's it's partially to do with their location in London too. Fulham is a well-to-do area. It's not there's not a lot of people there who are working class or anything like that. So I think the whole attitude in the championship is this is we're better than this.
I have heard that Fulham's a quote family club.
Yeah. No, it definitely is, and atmosphere wise, they remind people before the game that Craven Cottage is actually a seated ground in terms of if you're standing for any extended period, it's not allowed. So you have to stay seated, and then when something happens, you can stand up. But it's not the norm for people to be standing for the entire match. So yeah, it's a little bit of a, I don't know. I guess it's kind of a
Wimbledon, or
yeah. I mean, and it's funny because it's a little bit north of Wimbledon, I guess. But no, it's I don't know. It's kind of that vibe of an upper class kind of atmosphere. The match itself was great, and I got to see a couple of Liverpool alumni play for Reading. In Ovie Ejaria, who's a very...
He's at Reading?
Yeah, and he's joining permanently in the summer. But yeah, he's a Liverpool alumnus.
Isn't he meant to be decent?
He'll be very good.
Yeah.
And he was involved in both goals and absolutely skinned Fulham's right back. Unfortunately for Fulham, just put him on skates and for two of the goals. But the other Liverpool alumnus who's in Reading's team is Charlie Adam. So,
wow.
And Ovie Ejaria actually assisted Charlie Adam on one of the goals, which was a very... I don't think I've ever been more emotionally confused at a soccer match than watching a player I really admire and think will be good assist a player that I really deeply despise.
I saw this cruel meme where it was like Charlie Adams side by side with Cristiano Ronaldo. Have you seen this one? And they're like, they're both 34 years old levels.
Yeah, Charlie Adams, a very aggressively bald, just wrinkled face, and they showed him celebrating the goal that he scored at Fulham, which was very funny, and his celebration aged him up even more aggressively, and showed next to Ronaldo, who's the same age. It was a little unfair on old Charlie.
It was so bad. I closed. I was embarrassed looking at it.
But yeah, so the off season is, I think with this first episode, we can say that the off season is well and truly ending.
Yes.
And that we are back into the USL season, regardless of the fact that we're still a little ways away from the first preseason game, but plenty to talk about as we head into this preseason. And first things first, Locomotive this week released their new kits in the team store. The kits were announced, obviously, at an event at GECU. Nice little catwalk action that they had going on. But the kits themselves, they're on sale now. Christian, for you, which of the 3 outfield players kits that were announced, which one stuck out for you in this new batch of kits?
Well, for me, same as this last season, it's going to be the white one. I think that's my favorite of the bunch there. Luckily, they bring that out at the beginning of the season, so I don't buy another one at the beginning and then not want to buy a second one midway through the season. So that's going to be the one that I go for first when I make my way down there.
Yeah, they didn't lemonade us this time where they did the secret drop. I mean, Mikka, for you, we've got the chevrons, we've got the light blue with the dark blue sash, we've got the white with the light blue sash. I mean, is that white one the pick of the litter, or is there another one in there that looks sharp?
You know what? I am actually partial to the light blue with the dark blue sash, just because I really like sash kits first and foremost, but this one, the sash is just more obvious.
Right.
And the contrast just looks really, really nice. And I do like the pattern. I guess it's kind of like a gradient, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
One thing, though, that I can't confirm, I don't know, I wasn't there, but maybe one of you all can tell me, are these real badges?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Solid.
Yeah, it was, and I have to give credit to the club, because talking to Andrew and a couple of other people around the design of these kits, one of the things they emphasized to BLK in the offseason was that they wanted a higher quality in terms of the kits themselves and the badges. So credit to the club for getting that done in terms of, making it feel more authentic in terms of what the fans can get. I mean, though we talked last year, I think we're kind of in the same spot. Customization looks a little beyond what we're capable of right now.
Yeah, and
then we're just gonna have to keep giving our business to Larry in eighth notch. No, but really, come on, guys, get on that. That's like the one thing that'll make you a ton of money easily every game day.
Yeah,
it's like 95% profit, 98% profit.
Yeah, you can add like $20 to the price for customization. But we had the keeper kits come out, a yellow sash type, or in the same style as the light blue and the white, and then a red chevron. I mean, once again, the keeper kit's looking pretty sharp this season.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of excited for the red. I prefer it to the pink.
Sure.
I think it's in the same family, but I think it's a little bolder.
Yeah.
It's a very like powerful red too.
Sure.
So I think I'm excited. Obviously, we asked for yellow. This wasn't exactly what we meant when we were asking for yellow, but I mean, hopefully it's working its way in there.
The Christian, you were able to sit down with Logan as well. We were able to, one of our first pieces of content on the new website and everything. Talking to Logan, like, he is one of the just like better personalities around the team, and in terms of a guy who's just a pro and is able to like adapt and get on with his job.
Yeah, definitely. He was very personable. It was a really easy interview. He gave up a lot himself. I didn't have to, pry and poke around to get a lot of answers. And, he seems to really have it together, and it just kind of concerns me how professional he is, because I feel like once this year is up, we're going to be in a situation where at the end of the season we're not really going to be sure where we go from there, because I think that's a really hard thing to replace. Because honestly, I feel like goal scorers can be found, but I might be wrong, but I feel like finding a keeper of that quality is a much more difficult task.
Well, and Logan speaks in the interview about having to adapt from a certain style of play where he's hoofing it long for Bradley University in Illinois versus coming to Columbus and having to play out from the back, and then obviously doing the same in El Paso. But he is one of those players where, I mean, Mikka, you think at the end of the season, if he has another year like he had this year, he's got to be probably a target for other teams.
Yeah, I think I had said it on a previous podcast in season 1. I just wonder how his career might have gone if Zach Steffen wasn't ahead of him in the pecking order in Columbus.
If Zach Steffen didn't exist.
Yeah, because he's Lokenketter is absolutely quality, and he is a modern keeper in the sense that he can play with his feet, and that that's something that a Mark Lowry team absolutely needs. And I agree with Christian. I don't think I think keepers are being instructed more to play that way nowadays, just because of the tactics. But still, being able to find someone who is great with their feet and a phenomenal shot stopper is, I think it's trickier than we might imagine. So yeah, I would not be surprised if someone tries to come in for Logan, because he's still pretty young.
Yeah. And so, guys, for you ending this segment, I'll say you've got money to spend on a kit. Between the outfield kits and the keeper kits, for you, what's the pick of the litter?
I mean, like I said, the white one for sure. Last year the keeper kits were cheaper. I'm assuming that they will be this year too.
Yeah.
But I still think at the price point, the outfield player kits are the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, Mikka, for you, what's the pick here?
Yeah, for me, I'm between the light blue, dark blue sash or the yellow kit. I really like the yellow kit. Again, I'm glad that we're incorporating our secondary color, and I think Logan just looks even more agile in yellow. So I would definitely be between those two for sure. Yeah,
for me, I just personally, based off of the fact that I did buy the white one last year, I am partial to the light blue sash, although I think the white sash is fire as well. But I would go with the light blue with the dark blue sash this year, just because of the fact that I already own a Locomotive white kit and a dark blue. So I think it's a little harsh on the chevrons, because I think in any team or in any different year it could be a great option. It's just there's too many other good options for Locomotive fans, and I think they still are looking for that home or primary option that really like hits home, because the only dark blue kit so far for Locomotive that's been like actually fire is Noche de Locos. I think we can agree on that. But yeah, so those are on sale in the team shop now, and then hit up Larry for the customization after the fact. But we're deep into silly season right now. It's a transfer window. It's the off season. We're trying desperately to see where Locomotive is returning players, where Locomotive's looking for new players. And we do have some new signings, but the one thing that has just captivated and really kept everybody with their eyes on, like, okay, what's going on is the Sebastian Velasquez saga. And I don't think there's really any other way to say it. And it really has become a saga at this point. It's been, obviously, since the end of the season. I mean, November, I guess, first week in November was technically the end of the season. And here we are in January still discussing, will he, won't he? Mikka, I mean, the Sebastian Velasquez re-signing or his free agency, has it become a distraction at this point?
I don't think it's a distraction in terms of affecting the team yet, just because I don't think any of them have even been on the same pitch yet.
Right.
For it to become a distraction, I guess you could say.
Sure.
But as far as the fans are concerned, it certainly is, because we've been talking about it since the end of last season. And, and that's a compliment to him, right? Because everybody realizes how important he was to our season and how far we went in the playoffs and what have you. He contributed, his fair share with goals, with assists, with, really fully being a part of our community when we went through that tragedy, which I don't think any Locomotive fan is going to soon forget. But it is a saga. I guess we're a real club now, aren't we? We have a transfer saga. But yeah, I mean, me personally, as a fan, it's a little frustrating just because I would think that it would have been sorted out by now. I don't begrudge a player for wanting to, put feelers out there and see what all of his options are. The one thing that just, I don't even know if even saying that it irks me kind of feels harsh, but that's how I honestly feel, is just the not being clear with the fans, because he interacts with the fans a lot on social media, which is awesome.
Right.
But I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword too, because he'll be retweeting people saying you should stay and retweeting sources in Colombia saying he's trying out with Atletico and stuff. And
yeah.
It's just kind of like, I don't know, man. It just feels like, are we just like clout chasing here, or what are you doing? Do you retweet everything that has your name in it? Do you have someone running your Twitter account? I don't know.
Right.
It just feels very confusing. And that's nothing personal against Sebastian Velasquez. I think he's a phenomenal player. I would be thrilled if he stayed with El Paso Locomotive. But yeah, those are just kind of my stream of consciousness thoughts on that.
Well, and I mean, Christian, at what point does it become, because obviously Velasquez is such a good player. We know the quality that he brings to the side, and we know that comes at a price, like, for the team. So at what point do you think it becomes a drain on Locomotive's business elsewhere in kind of rounding out the squad when you're up in the air about a free agent of the quality of Sebastian Velasquez?
No, that's hard. I mean, there's always that invisible line that you're towing, and to me, I guess I don't want to. We've all said this before. I don't want it to be like last season again, where the beginning of the season starts and he still hasn't decided. Still, March is around and he still hasn't decided what he's going to do. He might join another club mid-season again.
Sure,
but I would like to have our team settled by week 1.
Right.
If that means losing Velasquez, then we lose Velasquez. But at least we know what's going on and we have an idea of where we're headed. I think last year can be forgiven as far as, kind of not knowing what we were going to get, just because these were players that had been preparing for 9 weeks maybe to be on the field. But now that we know these players, most of them and the other ones we've spent plenty of time scouting, I think that it's in the club's best interest to know exactly what their direction, what their projection is, by the time week 1 starts. So that's what I would say is, whatever it takes to be ready by week 1. That's when the cutoff is.
Well, and that's what I mean. I think it's an interesting situation because we had Sebastian Contreras join as, he was that number 10, literally wore 10 on his back. He was the playmaker. He was the guy that was going to be that creative force in midfield for Lokomotiv. He didn't necessarily hit the heights that I think the club had envisioned. We brought in Velasquez. Velasquez gets the bulk of the playing time. He was brilliant. But now we're left with a situation where Contreras is not returning. Velasquez is potentially not returning. And now that number 10 position is just sitting there vacant. And each time that I look at a lineup, I think, okay, well, we have... Alexi Bassetti could potentially play as a 10. But we also, we have only 14 players announced. So it's not that easy to sit back and say, okay, well, Bassetti will be the 10, because we know last year the injury problems that we had and just depth in general. I think there was probably, almost 8 to 10 games in the middle of the season where we didn't name a full squad of 18. So there's just this amount of talent and this amount of money that's kind of like hanging over the squad right now. And the decision is yet to be made of whether he's going to return or not. And, we're hearing from different sources. We've heard, we've seen tweets, we've seen different discussions about, obviously there was the whole Colombia thing and that fell through eventually. And he changes his Twitter bio to free agent rather than, Lokomotiv. And, we've heard Miami FC thrown around, the new addition to the Eastern Conference, from Nisa, and these, and then we've heard, foreign teams. We've heard potentially another Western Conference team in there. And at this point, I think we all feel that, if Sebastian can potentially make whatever the offer is work at Lokomotiv, and he goes elsewhere in the West, especially, if he goes to Miami, it would hurt, certainly, being in USL, but we won't play Miami until the final. Like, that would be the only time we would play them. So it wouldn't be that impactful. And if Sebastian went to Europe and chased an opportunity that, to really make it to a very high level of the game, I don't think anyone would hold it against him. But if he goes somewhere else in the West, that's where I think the potential for an actual negative feeling and a negative vibe. The next time that he came to El Paso, it would be that bad vibe. And I don't think anyone wants that. Mm-hmm. But if he went to, just spitballing, teams that have been active, Tulsa, Colorado Springs are under new management, Sac Republic going to MLS, these teams that have been kind of active, if he ends up there and he plays, at Southwest University Park against Lokomotiv, it would be like a very negative experience, I feel like.
Yeah, he would probably be the club's first villain in our history. And I mean, I would have to assume that it's just solely about money then, because you cannot say Lokomotiv does not have ambition.
Right.
We made it to the conference final in our first season of existence. So, yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that I know what his intentions are, or what his ambition is, or what what his motivations are, but I'm saying that you couldn't begrudge a fan for thinking that would be why, because the football and the results that we've been getting don't add up to leaving for a conference rival.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't get, like, I just don't understand why it's taking this long. I would assume that, after 2.5 months that, I just don't understand what else you're waiting for.
Right.
Everyone, like, the cards all have to be on the table at this point is what I assume. So I don't know. It just to me just seems to all be for a show, which doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why you would do that, but that's just what it feels like, from an observer standpoint.
Sure.
And yeah, like Mikka said, it just wouldn't make sense to come here and build a relationship. He actively worked to build this relationship with the city.
Right.
It would have been very easy to, he still do something, still contribute when, this tragedy occurred in El Paso, but not to be at such a, a figurehead for it.
Right.
So he actively worked to build this relationship. So to leave for money alone just seems strange. And like Mikka said, you can't fault anyone for, trying to increase their livelihood.
Yeah.
If, that's why it's a job, so he plays for money, but it just, there's a morality issue to it for me.
Yeah, well, and I think the the overall it's really just a transparency issue at this point, because I think we have a player who's very active on social media. We have a guy who he's going to retweet pretty much everybody that ats him is going to get a retweet, and that's, again, not against Sebastian. That's just how he is on social media. But when that's not matched by some level of transparency at the club, in terms of, like, we've seen, leaked tweets from Patrick Shalvier, come out of, negotiations are ongoing and stuff like that. But there's a level of deflecting and a level of obtuseness, I'll say, that is a little frustrating, because we have a player who is kind of very much out there on social media, and yet we get very little in terms of what we understand to be, the negotiations, or whether it's an impasse about wages, or whether it's an impasse about the player seeking, opportunities at a higher level or whatever. But it's just, it just so happens that, people are going to latch on to, a retweet that means he's returning, and then people are going to send me a tweet later that says that he's joining someone else, and it's just, right now it's completely up in the air. And my hope is not necessarily, obviously the best case scenario, Sebastian returns, no questions asked, everything's cool, and no one has any issues. But the best alternative to that is that it's decided sooner rather than later, and Lokomotiv can sign a replacement if that's what's needed. Because right now it almost feels like we're spending a lot of energy and a lot of time trying to re-sign somebody that may not be coming back. And like you said, Christian, it's like you'd almost rather miss out on him than wait and start the season without a playmaker like that. And that's kind of where we're at right now when we're just, a few weeks removed from the first preseason game. So yeah, the Velasquez saga will continue to be a saga, I'm sure. It's just the nature of it. But Lokomotiv have been making moves in the transfer window. And the first one that came through that I think we should talk about, Mikka, I mean, a Francophile, Distel Zola comes in, having played in Liga 2 for quite some time. And some big name friends as well on Mr. Zola.
Yeah, man. Check out Distel Zola's Instagram sometime. I mean, he'll just be posted up with the Pogbas.
Yeah.
Like nothing. He's very good friends with Kurzawa.
Yeah.
Ivan Kurzawa.
Yep.
Just a who's who in French football, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating. But yeah, this is a really an exciting signing. I think, bolsters our midfield. He is 30 years old, so it doesn't help our average age. But if you watch if you watch some of his highlights on YouTube, he seems very, very mobile and very intelligent as far as intercepting passes and playing the right balls quickly. So I think he'll definitely add to our play, our build-up play in that regard. But yeah, like Phil, like you had said, he came from Tours last, which, fun fact, Olivier Giroud and Laurent Koscielny played at Tours when they were in Ligue 2. So yeah, a lot of famous players came through that club, and now we've got one here in Lokomotiv and Distel Zola. So I'm excited to see what he can do. But he is a Democratic Republic of Congo international.
Right.
Born in France, but yeah, represents DR Congo. So
yeah, signing a guy like this who's experienced in a foreign second division, but coming to USL for the first time, do you have to kind of feel optimistic about the fact that that level is probably a little bit higher than what he'll face here?
Well, definitely. I mean, that's what we were looking at with Jerome last year.
Right.
Different type of player, obviously.
Right.
But the quality should still be there. And I think that given, Richie's age and, the miles are getting on him, I think that that's a good depth signing there too, even though I think I don't even think we can consider Zola depth. I think he'll probably be at the top of the team sheet there. But yeah, you have to think that it kind of shores up our defense even more. Looks like he can move, so it does a little more with the offense. So, our strengths are getting stronger, and so are our weaknesses too. So I think it's a good signing overall.
We've got, in this one, you spoke about the Instagram, Mikka, but he popped up over the Christmas break in Paris with Alexi Bassetti,
right.
who obviously, was announced as having the 2-year deal with Lokomotiv. A little bit of a French connection there in midfield between Distel and Alexi in a more advanced role, obviously, but Distel kind of, Mark described him as being able to play as a defensive midfielder or as an 8, like a more advanced midfielder. Can he kind of be that connection between defense and attack, linking up with Alexi?
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, so if I'm picturing it like FIFA Ultimate Team, right? I'll have my link between Chiro and Distel.
Exactly.
So I've got my international link.
Yeah.
And then I'll have my green link up between the two French players.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, but yeah, I think that's really great that they were able to meet. I don't know if they knew each other beforehand. Do we know? I'm not sure, but it was really cool to see that they were hanging out in Paris and getting to know each other. And hey, you'll have someone in the locker room speak French. Teammates pissing you off, just start speaking French, so no one will know what you're saying. But it's great. I like the as an Arsenal fan, obviously I like the more francophones, the better.
Yeah. And Dissel, I mean, Mika brought up his Instagram. Like, Dissel has been flexing. Like, I saw it just a couple of days ago. He was working out, like, in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. And took a picture with the Eiffel Tower in the background. So, yeah, he's not shy of the flex. We talked about the hanging out with Pogba.
It's funny. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
it's fine.
There was like the trash tabloids in England. They're always like writing about Pogba and like shitting on him.
Yeah.
There was some article complaining about how he supposedly is injured, but he's like partying for his brother's wedding, and I'm like, hey, Distal was at that wedding.
He was, yeah.
So it's just funny, man.
Yeah.
He knows everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe in a larger way, maybe Distal helps bring in future signings in terms of
that would be great.
I mean, obviously, Pogba's been angling for that move, so maybe...
Will the club want to deal with Mino Raiola? I don't know.
He doesn't want to play for Solskjaer. He wants to play for Lowry.
Who could blame him?
Yeah. The second big player... The club's made announcements of returning players, and I don't want anyone to think that we're... shunning them in terms of obviously we're happy about the players returning, but it's bigger news that when a player joins who we're not familiar with. So the next one that came in was Marius Lomas from North Carolina FC, Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman. He comes in. The first attacker that we've added to the new roster. I mean, Christian, kind of a big number 9. How do you feel about adding a guy like this to the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very traditional. I think he's kind of what you expect when you think of that. Except, as you've pointed out, he scores with his feet. Solely with his feet, which is different.
Sure.
I would hope that with that height we could take advantage of the outside positions that we tend to get ourselves in, and he can get his head on a couple of balls. But I think it's exciting. He can put up numbers when he plays. He had some injury history recently, but hopefully that's out of his system, and it's exciting. Especially when that center forward spot is definitely somewhere where we're lacking. I think it's probably the most exciting signing that we've had so far.
I mean, it's interesting because I think the club pays or has built more fanfare around our signings from outside of USL. Lomas, though, kind of represents a more traditional USL signing, and in this one, I mean, he scores 6 goals in the first 7 games of last season, and then goes a little bit off the boil, has some injury problems, but he kind of represents or kind of follows the pattern of guys that played for us last year in Kiesewetter and Gomez, in that when they got their chance or when they were in full form, they scored goals. So I mean, 6 and 7, it's quite the return for a signing who hasn't garnered a lot of attention in terms of the larger Twitter sphere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like the signing. I think it shows that we really can trust Mark when he tells us what he's looking for in a player, because he told all of us here that he was looking for a proven goal scorer in this league, and that's absolutely what this guy is. And he has scored goals in U.S. Open Cup as well, so maybe he can help our fortunes in the upcoming season with that cup competition. But no, I expect him to probably start in the league for us. And be the guy.
Right.
Now that Jerome Kiesewetter has found a new club, so I'm excited about the signing. like you said, he's unique. I mean, when you see a tall striker, you think, okay, hold up play, headers, getting on the end of corners and things like that. But like you said, he's scored all these goals with his feet. If I remember correctly, watching some of the highlights, he has relied a lot on service from wide.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how we continue to build the team. Hopefully we continue to build the team with that in mind, with wide service for Marios. But yeah, I like the signing. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think this signing would be ideal partnered with kind of someone to play off him. Whether that is Alexi, which I mean it certainly could be in that kind of dropping into the playing right behind
like
Marios.
Griezmann's Giroud.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of dynamic.
Like a second striker, but obviously not as advanced. But Mario's like technically gifted. Some good finishes certainly last year. Scored from a free kick as well. So it's always good to see a big guy with good technical skill. We're used to that, I think, in El Paso with Omar. But no offense to Omar, Mario's a little more clinical in the chances that he's gotten. But I do think a target like Mario's could be beneficial for Omar, where if he's providing that service for out wide, a guy like this who is clinical in the box is able to maybe chest a ball down or hit something on the volley or head a ball in. That serves Omar quite well because we know Omar can destroy fullbacks. And if he's got a guy in there who knows what he's doing in the box and doesn't need it on a plate, he can deal with different types of service. I think he can be really dangerous. Mario's giving me a little bit of Zlatan vibes, I'll be honest. So hopefully he can hit those heights as he joins Locomotive. I don't know about you guys, like as I've kind of gotten into USL, it's always fascinating to see a guy go from the Eastern Conference to the West or vice versa. So like we saw Eni Voltsen went from Orange County to Indy 11, didn't do a damn thing with Indy 11, comes back to the West, he's good. So I'm hoping that Marios's transition is a little more smooth than Thomas Eni Voltsen, because obviously great out west, but didn't really have an impact in the East. So hopefully Marios doesn't have any issues adapting to play out in the West, because it is a little bit of a different animal. Watching highlights from the East, it's almost like watching a different league. I feel sometimes. Well, it almost literally is a different league. So, the last guy that Locomotive have brought in that's brand new, Fabrice Fakobo, Cameroonian international, brought in free agent, 25 years old, from Sporting CP's academy. Famously they've produced players like Ronaldo, Nani, I believe, as well as from Sporting. Just some brilliant Portuguese players over the years. I mean, defensive midfielder in kind of the truest sense, but Fabrice Fakobo coming in, it's kind of a different level of signing in terms of signing a guy on a free, who's a free agent from a top European academy. Like, it's just a little different.
It's given me like San Antonio Spurs vibes, where, there's all this talent, this well-known talent out there. And then, you kind of go digging overseas and find someone who, for all we know, I don't know that there were that many USL clubs looking for him. And he might end up being a name,
right?
Just like, here I go again. Beginning of the season, I'm heading back to basketball like 3 times in the episode.
It's fine.
But you know what? There was a time.
Start as you mean to go on.
Well, there is a time where the names Tony Parker or the names Manu Ginobili are non-factors here in the United States, and now they're going to be in the Hall of Fame. So that's just the kind of vibes I'm getting when you get this kind of unknown quantity.
Sure. I mean, Mikka, like, obviously another being from Cameroon, Fabrice, another francophone, but coming from an academy like Sporting, you can't help but feel a little bit of a different vibe because Distelzola, he a Monaco product. But he's 30 years old. He's a little bit removed from his time in Monaco. He spent quite a time in Ligue 2. Fabrice is 25 years old. His first contract with Sporting has just expired, and that's why he's available. He spent a lot of time on loan in the Portuguese second division, but I mean, this is a guy coming from a top level of development in Europe.
Yeah, like you said, you already mentioned Cristiano Ronaldo, but I believe Sporting also developed Luis Figo.
Yeah.
Who also won the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
So I mean,
as a holding midfield,
yeah,
like a deep lying playmaker.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is insane pedigree. I think this is a really interesting and a really cool signing, really, that we could attract someone, who has been through the Sporting Academy, because it's one of the best academies in Europe, arguably also the best one in Portugal. And now I'm going to get, death threats from Porto fans and stuff.
Porto and Benfica.
Benfica, those tres grandes. But no, yeah, it's a really cool signing. I mean, from looking at his stats, it doesn't look like he contributes much in terms of goal contributions, but I think because he's 25 years old, still got a lot more miles in those legs, and he can provide, just depth or even start sometimes in place of some of our older guys like Richie and like Yuma, and just be that holding player.
Sure.
I think he's got decent height on him too, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I think he can play center back as well.
He can.
So that's just all the better that he's flexible in that way.
Yeah, that was what kind of sold the signing for me. Obviously, when you have an opportunity to sign a 25-year-old who's coming out of a contract like this from a top European academy, it seems kind of like a no-brainer. But the thing that really tipped it in for me was the fact that Mark sees him as being able to play as he can play. He can play in an advanced role like an 8 in midfield, a more advanced role, a defensive midfielder, or as a center back.
He's our Mascherano. Yeah,
exactly. Like that versatility really does mean a lot in USL when you're trying to. I mean, especially like the way that we saw this last season go, where we were just absolutely threadbare at points of the season, especially in defense. Like we were just really hurting for bodies at some point. So to get a guy who has come through a top level of development, but also can fill multiple roles, I think it's a kind of a coup for the club, and I think they kind of undersold almost like what he is, because when you list somebody at defensive midfield, especially given the fact that we all want goal scorers, we want the exciting players, we want those guys who are going to be big difference makers at the front end. I think it's tough to hear, okay, we've signed like a solid midfielder. It's tough to hear that.
I think they were like, well, we messed up with Omar last year, so let's dial it back a little bit this year.
Yeah, they're underselling every player now. Where okay, he's fine. That's why Lomius is like, they announced him like in the middle of the day, just randomly. No 10 a.m. alarm or anything. And hopefully, he's got 20 golden boot this season. But we've got just those 3 additions. We've got a few returning players. Obviously, Chapa announced this week as well, coming back. So midfield is feeling, I don't know about you guys, but feeling a little crowded at this point. Really just at most 3 or 2 like holding midfield positions, and or central midfield positions, and now we've got 5 players who could fill those roles. Do you think it's just a matter of Mark building the depth, or do you think he's kind of eyeing up maybe some of these guys are going to play a little bit different roles than what they've been asked to do in the past?
Well, I think the thing is that most of them are very flexible, are very versatile. So I don't think it'll be an issue. I think they're all, going to get their minutes in, whether it's in that, holding midfield position or elsewhere, a little bit more outside or a little bit farther up the field. So I think that on paper it looks more crowded than it actually is going to be.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, I wonder if the plan for Fokobo is to be center back depth then? Because I don't think Chapa can play anywhere else, or Richie or Yuma. Right. So, yeah. But I'm not surprised, though, that that's where we're kind of stockpiling to start is midfield, because that's so crucial to the way that we play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I think it's a good problem to have, competition, so.
The needs of where we're looking for where we need more players before the season starts. I mean, we spoke about playmakers. I mean, even if Velasquez comes back, we probably need another 10, just as we had Contreras last season. Even when we brought Velasquez in, we had a little bit of depth, but the one that's really sticking out to me, like kind of the one area where we really haven't added a player, where we lost one last season is out on the left. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but the way that we kind of played towards the end of the season, it was, mid-season, I guess it was kind of Edson who played out on, he was the guy playing out on the left. And then towards the end of the season, it was actually kind of a combination of
Gomez.
Josue, Gomez and Kiesewetter would kind of they would play this interchanging, one guy would be the striker, and then they would kind of drift out wide and change and try to lose their markers. But we don't really have another wide left attacking player. We know Omar is primarily utilized on the right. He can be out on the left, but either way, we kind of is winger where we need to add. Do we need a winger? Is that where we're looking to add, or do we need just goal scorers at this point?
I mean, I think the idea is for Lomis and Bossetti to be the goal scorers. Mm-hmm. So I think I'd be kind of surprised if we added another striker. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting observation. We haven't added a winger. Wonder what Calvin Resend's doing. Because
in terms of a playmaker, I would have him back in a second.
Yeah.
He can come take the 7 shirt back if Velasquez is.
Yeah, I think that we definitely need to look at that, and also left back too, because as we all know, James Kiffey was instrumental in that position in getting forward and playmaking from the fullback position. So that whole flank really could probably use a touch up, but I don't know if we think it's going to be Foxy at left back or
that's
McKinney.
I mean, it's not the same though. That's the thing. It's a downgrade.
Absolutely. In terms of on the ball playmaking,
definitely. Sure. Defending will still be solid no matter what. But
and maybe that's the. I mean, we know Foxy's passing last year from center back primarily towards the end of the season was impressive. He was good at playing those long balls over the top, creating some opportunities, but left back a little bit of a different situation. And the one thing about Fox moving back out to left back, and this wasn't really a talking point, but it will be talked about, is Fox grew so much as a center back last season. It almost feels like a waste to not play him there. But now we have 3 center backs.
Yeah, I think we just think it's a recency bias thing because I think we, in the back of our minds, don't have that picture of how good Mishak was.
Right.
Those first couple games
True.
of the season.
Yeah.
Very true.
Plus, we need that Mishak deep free kick hit. It's gonna come.
We were robbed last year.
We were robbed.
But it's coming. Yeah, we got our hero goal, not from a free kick. We got our goal, but
and a good finish as well. But yeah, I think Fox is probably gonna primarily be out there. We're waiting on the McKinday announcement. It seems like he's gonna be back for next season as depth out wide, but and no like shade on Moses either, because when he came in to the game against Real Monarchs after Kiffy was sent off, the game, like, we got back on top of the game. So McKinday is definitely, he can be value added, but it is certainly there's a little something in terms of Kiffy's attacking play that I think you guys are rightfully nervous about the ability of Fox or McKinday to contribute in that way.
I think that it'll be interesting to see Memo's development too, because when he had to put in some minutes there, it was quality.
Yeah.
Quality work from him there, so his growth is something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think to me is almost as interesting as the Velasquez situation is just a different perspective because of this particular player's absence on social media. But I don't think we talk about what's going on with Gomez enough. If he had, a what's the word I'm looking for? I guess a Twitter to speak of. I think that the fans would be, clamoring for him as much as we do Velasquez. So,
sure.
So I've kind of given up on the whole tweeting Velasquez thing and that, because I've gotten tired of that personally.
Sure.
But if there was a Gomez Twitter that I felt would respond to me, that's where I definitely would be. That's what I'm waiting for. Like I said, at this point I've personally kind of moved on waiting to see what Velasquez is going to do, at least outwardly. Inside, obviously, I want him back, but I'm waiting for a Gomez announcement at this point.
Gomez is an interesting case because, obviously instrumental last season and scored some vital goals, and it kind of in varying manners. Like, he scored headers, he scored right-footed, left-footed, runs in behind, kind of scored all manner of goals. So he
finisher.
He's kind of that guy who's got the nose for goal, and as long as he can stay healthy, he'd certainly be a huge asset. The only question is, what are those conversations that are happening in the, I guess, within the Mountain Star Sports boardroom to each other about where he adds the most value? But, it seems like he's taken a full offseason. Like, he hasn't played with Bravos in the meantime.
No, not at all. They haven't had much play anyways.
Right.
But he's not on their roster right now.
Yeah.
He does have an Instagram. He doesn't have a Twitter, but he has an Instagram, and he was on vacation.
Right.
Definitely, didn't appear to be. He's not posting training videos like we see Contreras doing and all that kind of stuff. So,
right.
Who knows?
Free agent.
Yeah. So who knows if he's even, I would assume, but who knows if he's considering playing right now? Because like I said, at least as far as social media knows, he wasn't putting in the work per se.
Sure.
In the gym and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is. That's another interesting one to keep an eye on, and we will see, I guess, the outcome of that. I think if the striking or attacking options were at the end of the transfer window were a combination of Lomas, Gomez, and Bassetti, I think everybody would be happy with that.
I got chills.
Hell yeah.
I don't think you could really complain at that point because I mean Bassetti can play. He can play as a 9. He can play as a 10. He can play out wide. Gomez can play primarily as a 9, but he can play kind of out wide as well. He's kind of a pressing forward. I always equate him to Firmino. I know I've done that last season, but he does a lot of work. He can link up play. And then Lomas is kind of the more traditional striker. So I think if you have those options in attack, I don't think anyone would complain for a second. So maybe Gomez is the one we're waiting for. You've got something.
No, I mean, I just those 3 strikers would have us very much set for the season. I guess we'll just wait and see, but I don't know if he's not in Juarez's plans, then why not just give him back? But we'll see.
I think he's it's one of those things where I feel like he's low key enough that, he's not in a Jerome situation, even though probably on a per game basis, I think him and Jerome were probably right about the same as far as goal scoring numbers go. But because, he didn't have 4 braces in a row or whatever, he managed to stay a little more under the radar, in which case I think that the club should definitely pounce on that if available.
Yeah, we will obviously keep an eye on whether Aron Gomez is back for next season, and that would be such a boost. I'd hope we'd be able to get a permanent deal done, maybe lock him down for a couple of years, because now that he's pretty much in his prime for a striker, 26, I think, getting up there, loans are kind of at this point for a guy who's of that age seems a little unnecessary, especially given the fact that Edson was 19, so the loan makes a lot more sense for a guy like that. But the roster is shaping up. The club announced today, February 5th, is the first friendly of the off season, a closed door friendly against FC Cincinnati. But I mean, taking the closed door nature of it out of it, because I know I immediately tweeted the Eric Andre gif of "let me in" at the fence, but those playing MLS opposition after, I mean, last season I think we primarily played amateur and then USL opposition in the off season. Getting a friendly against MLS team, regardless of the fact that we don't get to watch it, that's probably a step in the right direction for the club.
I suppose.
And it's one of the worst MLS teams, so maybe we have a shout at winning.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be a changed lineup. I'm sure they won't play many of their starters, but the idea that maybe they'll, I don't know, offer something a little bit higher quality than what we would be used to.
I still want my friendly with a European side.
Yeah.
Still waiting.
Well, maybe we can get Sporting as a part of the deal with Fabrice. Which I forgot, I neglected to give the shout outs. Shout out to Sporting 160 EN, which is a podcast about Sporting Lisbon. The Three Tugas podcast, which is also a Sporting Lisbon podcast. And then Steph Teixeira, so you can follow him at Steph01JUL 1906, which is when Sporting was founded. Those guys all chimed in with opinions about Fabrice and being able a little bit of insight. Obviously, he's been all around the Portuguese second division, and as a youth player at Sporting, didn't get a big shot at Sporting. But shout out to those guys for providing some feedback and the video of an absolute wonder goal that Fabrice scored against Tottenham's U18s when he first joined So maybe we can get a thunderbolt out of Fabrice. But thank you guys for chiming in. The schedule. So we've got a schedule. They said it would come in December. It came in January. But the schedule, all things considered, March 21st, Locomotive is headed to Albuquerque. It's a Saturday game against New Mexico United, nice and early in the season. But, I mean, that trip away to a place where we didn't get any joy last season, and it was a midweek game, not that many people were able to make the trip. Getting a Saturday game against a rival like that this early in the season, I mean, it's a nice treat. Yeah,
man, and people are gonna show out. I mean, y'all fucked up with this one because people are gonna have their tax money back. Like they're gonna invade Albuquerque. Like they're not ready.
This is, I mean, the ABQ trip this early in the season, especially when people are going to be pretty hyped up about how things are going. Still early on. It's nice to have it like situated this way.
No, definitely. I mean, overall, the schedule is I feel like it's much more visitor friendly for us than it was last season, and just the fact that we've got that New Mexico matchup is promising.
Yeah. As you said, Christian, I mean, I joke that Saturdays are for rivalries, and Phoenix, Austin, San Antonio, all on Saturdays and all within kind of driving distance. Austin and San Antonio, it's a long drive, but all of those are road trippable on a weekend
in the summer too. It's not happening in September, October,
right?
April.
We got to do a Seriously Local road trip for one of these.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm down definitely for Albuquerque. We'll be doing that one. Phoenix is June 6th. That's I mean. It's a freebie right
June
in the middle.
In Phoenix, though, man.
Oh, it's gonna be super hot. Austin, I'm always down to go back to Austin, San Antonio. I know Christian, you got,
I'll be happy to make that trip.
But and hopefully they won't be resodding the field at that point.
The sandbox.
Yeah. But the trade-off there, just 2 of our first 7 matches at home. How do you guys feel about that not in terms of the fans, but in terms of the team? Like, how much of an impact does it have to only have 2 home games in the first 2 months of the season?
I think it benefits us in that the end of the season is pretty home heavy. I think we got a little lucky this past season in that the end of season schedule for this past season was really rough. And the team played their asses off.
Yeah.
We got into 6th, but we really scrapped up there.
Sure.
1 goal away, and we might have been in 9th.
Right.
1 goal that doesn't go our way. So I think having that home heavy end of season schedule is definitely going to benefit us. I think 5 of the last 8.
Right.
Here at home.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
I mean, do you think we'd almost have been better off with a schedule this light at home last season when the expectation was kind of building and the first ever game was a home game and all this stuff? Like, now we kind of start off this season with, we're only playing a couple of matches at home. And we had especially towards the end of the year, we played really well on the road towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. So, I mean, all things considered, does this kind of favor the Lowry approach?
Assuming that the guys can have the right mentality going into the season, then yeah, I don't see why not. I think preseason is really going to be crucial this year in preparing for all of those away matches. Because, I mean, Orange County, New Mexico United, Defiance, I mean, Tulsa, these are... It can go one of 2 ways. We can either be stellar on the road or start horribly and have that affect, March and April when we
Sure.
are home.
Sure.
And, if we start off on the wrong foot, then the swap might be a little emptier than usual. So it's dicey, I think. But I think that with the quality of the players that we have and the coaching staff, we should be okay.
The end of the season, not looking too far ahead because this is episode 1 of season 2, but Timbers 2 away from home, RGV at home, then Vegas away, Colorado Springs away, and then final day of the season, Austin at home, with the potential for a Copa Tejas redemption.
Imagine
and
if we
whatever,
could lift it at home.
And whatever playoff implications. Finishing with an in-state match at home, kind of that has kind of a special feel to it, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were so trash in Copa Tejas last season, so we just have to do better. I know it's a supporters trophy, but it's a trophy, and the supporters take it seriously. So, if we're in a position where we could possibly lift the trophy at home on that night, that would be fantastic. But we'll see. Either way, it's going to be a good matchup to close it out and set the tone for the playoffs, because we will be in the playoffs. I'm not doubting that. So.
Are we getting into
Oh no!
season predictions?
I'm reserving
I was gonna let y'all off the hook
until I see what the roster looks like at the beginning.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's fair to anyone to make predictions before the roster's finalized. But no, obviously knowing Mark and then knowing how last season went, I think the target has been set. In terms of this season, the expectations have been set, not just by the fans, but by the organization as well. And so, anything below 6th now is a step backwards and a failure. Mm-hmm. So, whatever our predictions are for this season, the target of the team is going to be to finish, at least higher than last season. But I think really the target is to compete for a regular season conference title and actually keep it keep it competitive.
Have it not be decided in fucking July.
Which Adam John may be, headed out of the league. So,
man, how about the fact that they have Landon Donovan coming to the swap on a Thursday?
I know.
They were like, this is for your safety.
That's true. I bet you that was like a rider for him. He's like, you cannot schedule me in any border cities on a busy night. I'm not going to RGV.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to El Paso.
Hey, but we've got we've got Winalda Saturday, July 18th. The lights are coming to the swap. It's his first match since he walked off in the 85th minute or whatever. What I really enjoy about, and it's so funny because it adds so much context with just one season under our belt, but each of these games gains this weird significance just by having one game of 2 matches against each of these teams. There's all of a sudden history, and we have these memories of. OKC is going to be that's going to be a chance for redemption, for these guys. Mm-hmm. And San Diego, all of a sudden we've got Landon Donovan, but Real Monarchs, when they come back,
fuck those guys.
That, some of the Phoenix, especially, these games gained so much significance just after one season of playing them.
It was a very remarkable season.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a wild thing. We play New Mexico at home in September, late in the season. A lot of, potential postseason implications in a game like that, and against Reno as well at home. The schedule just carries I don't know, it carries weight this year, whereas last year when we were first starting out, it was just a sequence of teams that we were playing. But now that there's history there and there's goals to match it, it kind of feels like we're at just a different level, even though it's just because we reached a conference semifinal, but because it's season 2, we have this history with some of these teams, and it is. I don't know. We're just hashtag blessed to be able to get to sink our teeth into season 2. And I mean, of all these games, is there one that you guys are looking forward to more than the others?
I mean, for me, it's a tie between Monarchs and San Diego. I don't think I want to be in the press box for the Monarchs game. I would much rather be in 105 to just hear all the shit that is going to be flying at David Ochoa. I think he's gonna get it like none other in that particular game. And then I'm just kind of interested in what the Landon Donovan reception is gonna be for the San Diego game.
Yeah, I mean, those are the two that really jump off the page for me as well. And also away to Phoenix Rising, because I mean we didn't roll over there. I mean, there are teams that have gone there and gotten whooped, and so I really
Austin.
So I really want to see if we can get one over them in Phoenix, and maybe that's one that the crew can go to in person. Would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, and definitely planning on making. I mean, yeah, Albuquerque, Phoenix. Austin and San Antonio are the ones that the away trips I'm putting on the wall in terms of taking the time off and really trying to make it to those. But yeah, looking forward to the home opener as well. Timbers 2 coming back to the site of the 4-1. And I made this joke on Twitter, but I don't care because I'm shameless. I, for one, am looking forward to it. No, but that type of matchup just I think it's great timing for it to be the second match of the season where we go away to OC to open the season. Tough matchup away from home against a good team. And then we come home, play Timbers 2, and I'm not saying Timbers 2 aren't good, especially at the beginning of the season. They're probably going to have quite a few MLS guys down on the team because by the end of last season we played the local high school team.
Jesus.
But
they did have a 16-year-old there.
They had multiple teenagers, like 15 and 16-year-olds. But to go to start at OC and kind of really start at a high level and then play an MLS reserve side and at home and have a chance to have a good springboard for the rest of the season. I think I don't know. I'm excited to see what Eighth Notch has in store. I'm excited to see the levels that we're able to get to in terms of filling up the SWUP and making it feel more consistently like that playoff game against Sac Republic, because that atmosphere at the end of last season was just so intense and it was awesome to experience. So I hope we have more like that. The road trips are great, and these stretches that we have where it seems like it's a little less consistent in terms of we'll have months where we're at home almost exclusively and then months where we're not at home almost at all. But the stretches feel like they'll put the team to the test, but in a way that we can look forward to hopefully at the end of the season and be like, well, this team has gone through it, has come out the other side better for it, and we're looking at another successful run. But man, guys, it's happening. Season 2 is nearly here. I want to shout out before we end. I just want to give a shout out to all the people who have taken the time and spent the money to become patrons over on our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/seriouslyloco and you can find us. $2 a month gets you basically. We're doing a bunch more stuff this year. We're doing interviews, written content, bonus podcast episodes, stat articles, and like all kinds of giveaways, merch stuff over there. So if you're so inclined, join the people who are already over there. Like I just want to shout out everybody that has taken the time to do it. Alejandro, Austin, Brian, Chris, Daniel, Fernie, Gabriel, Genevieve, Harry, James, Jennifer, Nathan, and Ruben. Thank you guys so much for becoming patrons, and hopefully more of you will join in, because it is literally just a way for us to do more stuff. It's not going into anything but the show, so we're able to provide you guys with more content, and I hope you guys will join in and come along for the ride, which promises to be just an awesome second season, both of Seriously Loco and Locomotive. If you guys have enjoyed this episode and you're not already subscribed, we're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Be sure to check us out on any of those platforms, and you can find us on seriouslyloco.com, which is a real thing that exists now. We have our own website, so seriouslyloco.com. You can find our articles, and you'll be able to find the podcast episodes as well. So check us out on any of those. And until next time, guys, stay loco.